From being best buds with a murder suspect to being absolute scammers, here's why rappers are really scared of the Island Boys. These two South Florida brothers have a lot going on. You take your eyes off of them for 1 second, and what do you know? They start feuding with a brand new celebrity. But that really isn't why many rappers are weary of them. Oh, you don't need to appear scary when you're already buds with someone involved in a murder. Yeah, you heard that right. And because of this, their home was even raided back in 2022. Now, many rappers are expected to be involved in some dark stuff on the down low. And when your body is covered with tattoos, that doubt gets a whole lot of credibility. Which just so happened to be the case for these two. After the raid, the police reported that they were able to arrest an Andrew James Thomas, who was hanging out with the boys at the time. Their friend was actually involved in a drive-by shooting that took the life of an 8-year-old girl. I mean, how awful is that? Because from what I know, the suspect was the brother's childhood friend. Of course, they've come out and denied being involved in this. Apparently, they had no idea, and they wouldn't have allowed him in their house if they knew. Yeah, well, I'm having a hard time believing that. Honestly, all this really doesn't fit in with their online persona. After all, the two went viral for a song called Island Boy. Plus, everyone made memes out of it. So like, who knew they had a dark past with a criminal record? You don't expect that from a pair of twins called Frankie and Alex, right? But boy, was everyone wrong. Because as far as having a rap sheet goes, they have quite a history there. It seems the two started getting into trouble from a pretty young age. During an appearance on the No Jumper podcast, Alex seemed pretty proud to recall all the instances where he and his brothers had run-ins with the cops when they were young. I can't even imagine how tough it must have been for their mother. After the death of their father, a single mom brought up the two. And well, I don't need to tell you how tough that is. Even as kids, they were pretty into crimes, such as burglary, robbery, grand theft auto, and of course, drugs. Quite a diverse resume, isn't it? Oh, and that's not all. Apart from these heavy charges, the duo also spent 2 years in jail between 2016 and 2017. What's shocking here is that right now, they're only 21 years old. I guess they chose crime as their field of interest at a pretty young age. The Island Boys also revealed that they were also sent to juvenile detention at a young age, with the previously mentioned charges. I'm surprised that they're still not there. Apart from being involved in criminal activities and having some questionable buddies, the two are also heavily involved in narcotics and substance abuse. Now, why doesn't that surprise me? In their interviews, they've often talked about everything they're used to doing, such as Percocet and Oxycontin. The two have been using substances since their teen years, and it got so bad that one had to be hospitalized not once, not twice, but 3 times. These habits really had their mother wishing she'd worn protection. Because, well, with the drugs, the criminal activities, and of course the frequent visits to prison, their house pretty much became a secondary police station. And can you guess what she did? Their mother forced them out of the house at 18. So the guys were pretty much on their own, and had to figure out the streets by themselves. Sounds like a tough time, right? Well, they definitely got their way around, because if you ask me, the two are doing just fine right now. Because like, did you know that it was actually prison that inspired them to be a rapper? You heard that right. When they were on their own, the two had no idea what to do with their lives. But they did have one goal in mind. They were gonna get famous and get paid for simply existing. And you've probably reached this conclusion by now. The two were ready to do whatever it took to get to that point. During prison, Alex had time to think about what they really wanted, and figured that maybe rapping was the right career for them. But career counseling wasn't all that came out of their prison experience, though. Apparently, the twins also ended up in fights. Confrontations were a big part of their prison life. The two later revealed that they never let anyone talk down to them while locked up. Now, I can only see one outcome of this stance: prison fights. You know how bad those things can be? People often end up losing their lives. But it seems that they really weren't afraid of that, especially when their self-respect was on the line. They've even claimed that sometimes these clashes led to their rival getting beaten to death. That's a bit dramatic, don't you think? But who knows? Maybe that's all they knew about prison survival. They seem to have brought this lifestyle back with them. If you check out their music videos, then you'll often see that some scenes are shot at a set that looks a lot like prison. On top of that, these scenes often feature them beating a guy. Maybe they're taking a trip down memory lane. Who knows? The two seem to be pretty sure of the fact that if they were to go to prison now, people who used to start fights with them wouldn't be doing that at all. Now, that's all for their time in prison, so let's talk about their feuds now. You see, the Island Boys actually have some beef going on with the Paul brothers. This probably started after they stormed out of Logan Paul's podcast. Now, Logan Paul's co-host George Janko might have been giving them some genuine advice, but I guess the two took it to heart. Janko said that it would be smart for them to invest their earnings, because you never know. The demand for their music and diamond teeth personas might suddenly dip. But can you guess what happened next? The Island Boys started clashing with the hosts. They even said, "I probably make more money than you."
Yeah,
that wasn't like a hate shot.
I don't need financial advice when I probably make more money than you.
I'm not sure whether that's true, but the twins have made it clear they don't need anyone's financial advice. Hold on, guys, the feud didn't end there. As it happened, the younger Paul brother had an upcoming fight with pro boxer Tyron Woodley. At first, things appeared good between them. But during the fight, the twins were actually kicked out for throwing shoes. I guess they were really after getting revenge. The Paul brothers aren't the only ones the twins are feuding with. Oh no, they even involved TikToker Bryce Hall in it. So here's the thing, Bryce pretty much asked for this one because he commented under their video. But it still got crazy pretty soon, because here's what happened. So Alex posted a video about Jake Paul, and the TikToker commented under it, "Guys, he's thuggin', chill out." And can you guess what they did in response? Yeah, it got a little out of hand. The two made a video of themselves discussing their juvie record, and in the end, they just said, "What did Bryce Hall do?" The video ended with them laughing, and if you see it, it's enough to give you the creeps. I mean, if it clearly looks like they're threatening the guy. Oh, and that's not where the story ends. They even had an online confrontation. The TikToker and the Island Boys roasted each other for a solid 10-minute period. But as you'd expect, the twins decided to take it up a notch. Yep, they ended up using homophobic slurs that didn't sit right with anyone. Thankfully, the video call soon ended before things got worse. But that's not all for their beef. They even had an infamous confrontation with the rapper Kodak Black on Instagram Live. Okay, so let me make things even more interesting. Did you know that Kodak was actually trying to sign the two up with his label? Yeah, clearly that didn't work out well for him, now did it? Because, like, the twins were actually on a live session with the rapper. So pretty much everyone saw and heard what they had to say to each other. Coming to perhaps the biggest controversy of their career, you remember when the twins said that they were earning more money than Logan Paul's co-host? Well, that might be an exaggeration. A very generous exaggeration. In an episode of the No Jumper podcast, the Island Boys representative, Dovey Besner, actually spoke up about their behavior. He revealed that all this was just a big scam, and that they owed him $150,000. That's a lot of money, don't you think? I mean, the twins did a brand deal that was supposed to give Besner a hefty payday. But guess what? That never happened. Although the brothers haven't said anything about these claims, it's clear that they're willing to go far and wide to make money and be famous. No wonder some rappers would much rather stay out of their way. And on that note, from being absolute scammers to being best buds with a murder suspect, this was why rappers are really scared of the Island Boys.